Hey guys, it's Richard Beach at SonicState.com. I'm at NAMM 2015 and I'm with Dan Ball of 65Amps in this lovely giant cab that we seem to be in every year.
Welcome to our cocoon.
Yeah. It's very nice cocoon. We're standing right under the aircon as well, which is pretty great. So we're going to hear the Lil Whiskey in action.
The Lil Whiskey. Well, first off, hello, Sonic Staters. It's good to see you again every year. Great to see Rich, and thanks for coming by to visit us. We're lucky this year because we have my business partner, Peter Stroud, here, who's not on tour this time during NAMM, so we're going to hear him play guitar instead of me, which I'm sure you're all sick of by now. But anyway, the Whiskey is just a lower powered version of the Whiskey we released last year, and we produced it by popular request. A lot of people said, well, we love the Whiskey, but 50 watts is too much. And so we make it something smaller, and so we can get the clean sound cranked up enough to break up. So naturally, with our heritage being in EL84s, we went right there.
Okay, cool.
And so again, Dave Friedman consulted with us on this, and we're very grateful for that. Dave's really good at what he does, and he's very helpful to us. And we had a lot of fun, and so far it's been a huge hit at the show. People really seem to be receiving it well.
Okay.
So it's same feature set. It does have the active loop in the back. The only circuit difference is that on the clean channel, we used a little bit of the circuitry that I think I told you about we learned from Derek Underdown, who was the original engineer at Vox. And some of these RAF tricks that he had for warming up radar signal that's in the Little Elvis.
Okay.
So with the EL84s, the clean dynamics are different, so we needed to sort of sweeten it up a little bit. So we used that pass-through triode that Derek taught us, hence the name Lil Whiskey. There's a little bit of Little Elvis in there.
Cool.
So we kind of got the best of both worlds. So on that note, we'll let Peter run you through the amp.
Here we go.
Channel, which is foot switchable, or from the switch here. It said you can set a really beautiful straight ahead clean tone. A bit of edge on it. Really pure, or crank it. It's a non-master channel, so you can really get that very natural non-master tone. And then on the overdrive channel, you have the gain and master. So it is your typical Cascade preamp master volume setting on this amp, which is something new to us. We also have presence, bass, mid-range, treble. So when you switch over, big fat gain, even with the telly. Rich harmonic structure with the EL84s. You can scoop it. You can dump the mids to a degree, crank up the presence and treble, back off on the master, really crank up the gain. Or make it even more extreme if you want, you know. Or you can take it in reverse, which a lot of people aren't aware. You can treat a master volume this way. Instead, you crank up the master volume to say around 6 and put your gain at around 4, and automatically that's driving the power stage harder, so it develops the mid-range in a really good clarity.
And we've got the color face wired in at the moment as well,
yes,
on bypass. So is it all right to hear that in action?
Absolutely. So the color face, Dan can run you through as far as the features on this. It is it's an amalgamation of the fuzz face type circuit with our own modifications. So you can get, it's really, the big thing about it is it's the components. We're using amplifier size components in these pedals that really make a difference in the tone. It really takes it back to the early days of circuitry.
That's how they were made back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll go back to the clean sound. Set it up for this pedal. You know, back in the early days, early amps did not have a lot of high end, you know, and a lot of times pedals were meant to get that extra boost of clarity or whatever, that next level out of the amp. Attention. Fuzz, this type germanium fuzz, they're incredibly versatile, that maybe more than some people recognize, because on full 10 you've got, with a single coil, woolly sound, but then when you back off on the volume,
Keep playing.
a loud, very present, clean tone, and then what it does is it puts it all under your fingertip. You know, you can be playing your rhythm. You know, a perfect example that is Hendrix at Monterey Pot. He started on the Strat with it. That's what's so amazing about these pedals. So we've got it to where really it and then we have a mod setting that sort of tapers off a little bit of the gain, makes it even a little more present. What would your...
Well, the idea behind the stock and mod switch was that most of these pedals are not really highly functional with modern equipment. You know, like we were talking about, guitars back then had much lower output pickups and it didn't have much gain. So you could really push the front end in a different way. So fuzz faces and tone benders and range masters can be a little wild if you have a high output guitar into a high gain amp. So we put switches on these two pedals so that to accommodate modern gear. Okay. So if you're running, you know, a 12K humbucker into a multi-gain stage amp that's already pretty dirty, a normal fuzz face would be extremely wild.
Yeah.
So it's going to pull some bottom end out of it. It's going to drop the gain a little bit. Because modern amps also, you know, like this amp is way bassier than most dual EL84 amps. Pardon my NAMM voice, everybody. But the other thing that we do it with the same parts we use in our amps, and that makes a difference. But the other thing I wanted to bring up too is that, you know, these circuits are sort of public domain. The circuits aren't complicated at all. But just like the old fuzz faces, you had to go play 5 of them to get a good one.
Yeah.
They're very inconsistent. We got very lucky and found an extremely consistent batch of germanium transistors, which is why we went for this. It's just, oh, now we can have fun with it. And so, but living in LA and knowing the people that we do, we had the very good fortune of having really primo examples of each of these pedals to use as reference pieces. You know, we had guys like Bob Bradshaw coming over to help us. You know, he came over to my house with his favorite fuzz face. You know, that sort of thing. Yeah. So a fuzz face is not a fuzz face is not a fuzz face. So we're not building them with computer parts. You know, we're using the same like 400 volt caps we use in full size hookup wire and all that stuff. But we actually had really primo examples of tone benders and fuzz faces available so we could get it right. And we had fun. And then our good friend Frank Falbo, who's got his guitars here next door, is also a design wizard. He helped us with it quite a bit. Did hours and hours and hours and hours of research. So we found the actual primo version on paper and in person. And so we had fun with it. It was a nice little neurotic trip that we went on. And I know Peter's a big fan of germanium. I'm a big fan of germanium. I have not heard tone benders or fuzz faces that sounded accurate before. I heard a lot of really good fuzz faces and tone bender pedals, but to me they don't sound like the original. So ours was to actually get that and get that behavior. And it's fun. So with the fuzz face, you know, with a Strat especially, or a single coil telly, you can really get like what he's talking about, those Hendrix rhythm sounds.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, the fuzz is the fuzz, and it does a great fuzz. I think it's really good, but it's that rhythm sound, it's that cleanup that people use those for, and you just can't get that without good germanium.
And can we hear the color bender?
Absolutely. As well? So the color bender is based off the Mark II Professional tone bender circuit. And again, we had a lot of really good examples of those to play with. Our friends were very generous with us. And I'm going to let you borrow this pedal, but you know, lock and key, because these things go. A good one goes for $1,500 to $2,000 now, and they're hard to find. And the main reason of their value is there hasn't been many good clones of them. So again, we have a second set of switches on here. That switch on the left, when it's in the up position, it's the stock tone bender Mark II Professional circuit. When you bring it down, it's doing a similar thing. It's going to drop the gain, and then we have 2 voicing caps available on that other switch. So if you got a big heavy guitar with a lot of bottom end in it, you're going to want to roll some of that out. When you flip that right-hand switch up, I like to call it the Mick Ronson switch.
Okay.
Because it's just got that Spiders from Mars sound. You know, you can just do that perfectly. But anyway, it's very fun, and this is a pedal closely associated with, you know, Jimmy Page and Jeff Beck and, you know, all that stuff. So.
Cool, let's hear it. Chance we can hear it with the Les Paul going into it, so we can hear what it sounds like with humbuckers. Wild but manageable.
Yes, yes. You still have your pick attack when my hands sync up, in other words. Very distinct. Exactly. Yeah, yeah. If I wouldn't embarrass myself unless I knew it better.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks to both of you. Bring it in for one last shot. So, well, I just meant come closer. I didn't mean this close down.
I'm sorry, what? I got distracted looking into your eyes.
Okay. Many do. Many have fallen by the wayside doing that. So
it's Sunday at NAMM, guys. Sorry.
This is I'm just trying to wrap things up, but I kind of don't want to because I just want to stay here all day and listen to amps and pedals. But we have to go. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks to Peter and Dan for taking us through the pedals and the Lil Whiskey. And yeah, more videos from NAMM 2015 at sonicstate.com/amped. That's our guitar channel. Thank you.